Hey everybody, this is Scoots. I make a Sleep With Me podcast, and the stories here at Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me are stories from our main show, Sleep With Me podcast. I only laugh because it's a lot of words, but if you really enjoy these bedtime stories from Sleep With Me, or if you're new, welcome, enjoy them. I hope you enjoy them. I hope they keep you company in the deep dark night, help you fall asleep. But if you really enjoy these stories, the best ways to help them keep it coming is to try out a subscription on Sleep With Me Plus at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, or just let people know about bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. It's new. It's something we've never tested out before. And by sharing it, letting people know about it is a huge way to support it and to let other people know what you like about it. So I really appreciate it. And I'd love to hear from you. If you sign up for Sleep With Me Plus, even for a trial, I'll send you out a video and thanking you, and you can reply right to that video. Or you could always reach me through the contact page on our website. Those messages come straight to me. Thanks so much, and enjoy these bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who's surrounded by moving blankets that aren't going anywhere. I don't know if I've ever used that as an opener before, but I just realized it. Does that change the nature of their being? They're present blankets. I'm surrounded with moving blankets, and I don't want to call them dampening blankets. They're absorbing and reflecting sound at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but I'm so proud of them. So happy to be working with these moving blankets. Thank you so much for making it possible. If you're confused, or you say, what is this person? Wait a second. But he's kind of right. There's the thing. We're only moving blankets like 1/1,000,000th of our life. Most of the time, we're lounging around or on the walls of a podcaster's climb-in closet, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And these sponsors are what enable us to be here for you for free twice a week. So please check them out tomorrow when your hand hits the fridge, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Hey, everybody, this is Scooter. I make a Sleep With Me podcast, and that's where these stories come from, bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. And I hope they help you fall asleep. If you enjoy these, let people know about the show. Just share it when you share stuff. Hey, I really like these bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. Or you could always support the show on Sleep With Me Plus. That's how we're able to do this. You could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. You could test out a trial even. But if you value the content we make on Sleep With Me and here at Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me, it's the most powerful way to make sure they're here and available for you now and in the future. And you can always let me know about it. When you sign up for Sleep With Me Plus, I send you a thank you video. You can reply right to that video, or you could get me through the contact page on our website, right at sleepwithmepodcast.com. So thank you so much, and good night. All right, everybody, this is a really cool episode coming up here, and kind of like a opportunity of great synchronicity. You probably heard me in the Supporter Zone talk about the Science of Happiness podcast. This is a crossover episode with that podcast. It is an absolutely amazing podcast. I highly suggest you check out not only the episode on sleep that I was lucky enough to be on, but all their episodes. They really are in sync with the spirit of this show, and living a life of dignity, respect, compassion, and empathy for yourself and for other people, and in a journey of discovering what that is and how do we apply it in our lives so that everyone can flourish. So I'm really excited about this crossover episode, and it kind of happened in a really interesting way. So what you're going to hear here is I'm going to go through some tips that they gave me to do as a nightly practice, like do's and don'ts, sleep hygiene stuff. Then you're going to hear 4 nights of me audio journaling about it. Then you're going to hear a traditional Sleep With Me episode that was recorded before this partnership came up, but it was just so in sync with this that I was like, oh, this is perfect, that all this advice and lead-in can lead into the rest of this episode. It's just a perfect connection. And then you have like one of these Trending Tuesday style episodes where I used records that I had bought sight unseen in a big plastic bag as the randomness for records, talking about bedding and the science of bedding, or the scientist that lives in my bedding. So, yeah, without further ado, the team at The Science of Happiness sent me this set of tips that I kind of started practice over a few weeks and that I've been using. Some of it you may be familiar with, some of it you may not be, but this is all from Dr. Eti Ben Simone. And some do's: avoid alcohol and caffeine after 2 p.m. That helps unmask your true biological sleep needs. Keep your lights dim in the evening and limit access to LED lights after 9 p.m. Go to sleep as soon as you feel tired, even if you're in the middle of something. And this has also a note, like this is going to help you figure out the earliest window it is physiologically possible for you to fall asleep. And 4, do not use an alarm clock to wake up. And I realize not all of this is totally possible, and you'll kind of hear it in my audio journal too. Some other tips: do get outside at least 30 minutes a day. Ideally, spend time outside in the morning, somewhere where you're looking east. This helps the sensors in your eyes get the sunlight your body needs to keep its circadian rhythm, which helps you sleep. 2, go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. This helps your body keep your circadian rhythm, which helps you sleep. And if you don't get good sleep one night, don't try to make up for it the next day by sleeping in late or going to bed early. Keep your schedule. 3, create a relaxing routine for yourself to wind down about 30 minutes before going to bed. According to sleep researcher Matthew Walker, likes going to sleep to landing a plane, not flipping a switch, just like on this show. We talked about that for a long time, having a landing strip. It's a process that takes time. You might try meditating, reading a book, or listening to a relaxing podcast. You want to limit your caffeine and nicotine intake. Both of those make it harder to sleep, diminish the quality of your sleep. You want to limit your alcohol intake, which also diminishes sleep quality. You want to get exercise each day if you can. This can help your body maintain its circadian rhythm. You could take a hot bath or shower before bed. This actually helps lower your body temperature, which can help you sleep. This one I definitely use now. It's keep a worry journal. This can help you settle your thoughts so it's easier to wind down for sleep, but it's important to do it 2 hours before trying to sleep. Also, talk to your doctor if you're taking medications. Talk to your GP or your doctor about how those might be affecting your sleep and rule out any other factors. Get a checkup and see how you can adjust your routine. Also, don't watch TV before bed. This stimulates your brain a bit too much, makes it harder to sleep. Don't bring technology into a bed, though they say here there is a case to be made for listening to a calming podcast. Not my words. 3, exercise less than 2 hours before bed. This makes it so don't exercise less than 2 hours before bed. That makes it harder for your body to wind down. Don't drink liquids 2 hours before bed, so you don't have to get up. And don't lie in bed trying to fall asleep. This can make you anxious and actually make it more difficult to get sleepy. Instead, do something relaxing somewhere else, and when you feel ready to sleep, go back to bed. And you might have to repeat this multiple times. So that's the advice. You could listen to the show, which is going to be much different than this. It'd be really, like it was amazing time I had there being interviewed and doing this journal, learning more about sleep and just talking about sleep. One of my favorite things to talk about other than me and sleep. Those are my 2 favorite subjects. So, we'll go into Scoots' audio journal here, and then we'll have a bedtime story, an interview with an imaginary sleep scientist who lives in my bedding. And, that'll be it. Thanks, everybody. And make sure to check out the Science of Happiness podcast, wherever you consume your podcasts. Thanks. All right, this is Drew from Sleep With Me. It is Monday night, and I'm going through, I think the last piece of caffeine I had was, I think the last thing with caffeine I had was about 1:50 p.m. I finished a Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm trying to start my bedtime routine now. Did I say, I think it's like 8:30. I'm hoping to be sound asleep by 10:30. Wish me luck. I'm going to do a recorded worry list. I'm already worried because I didn't write it out ahead of time. But I know the top of my worry list is that my parents are coming to stay with me this weekend. I have no idea when I'm going to get my apartment clean. I have literally no idea because I'm working a lot this week. And so I'm pretty worried about that because, but I also know, okay, I'm just going to try to do it in 5-minute chunks, maybe 15-minute chunks. How clean do I have to, oh, if my mom and dad are listening, don't worry. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about your commenting about the cleanliness of my apartment or my organizational skills, but I am. So that's at the top of my worry list. We'll see on Wednesday night what my worries are because I'm taking my daughter to a concert. I have no idea what time I'm going to get to bed, so I'm already worried about that. I'm a little bit worried if I'm going to fall asleep tonight. So I'm glad it's about 2 hours. What else am I worried about? Oh, like taxes are coming up, so I don't know. Like, I think those are supposed to be done Monday. I got no idea where I'm at with that, but I'm not too well. Now I'm not worried about it anymore. And yeah, I think that about covers it for right now. I mean, I have a general, I have about 10,000 other things that could be on my worry list, but those are the top hits right now. We'll see where we're at tomorrow. Just looking over this list. So I haven't had any caffeine. Don't drink any alcohol. I don't think I've had access to any LED lights. I got it till 9 p.m. Go to sleep as soon as you feel tired. Okay, I'm waiting for that to kick in. I do have to use an alarm tomorrow because I have to get my daughter up, but I'm pretty good at waking up at the same time every day. Tomorrow it would be 6:30 a.m. is when I would get up. And I will start my wind down routine about 30 minutes before going to bed. I'm sure we'll cover this later, but I like to start my wind down routine about an hour before bed, but I have a daughter and I also have to make sure she's getting ready for bed and starting her wind down routine. So that's it. I'm looking forward. No TV. I'm not going to watch any TV tonight. I usually don't have time for that. I'm reading a book, Severance by Ling Ma. So I'm looking forward to reading that as a part of my wind down routine. I did drink some liquid, but I still got about 2 hours before going to sleep. So hopefully that won't cause me any wakey poos later. So I'm looking forward to going to bed when I feel tired, which ideally brain, if you're listening, or circadian rhythm part of me will be in 2 hours, like less. I hope I get, if I had to have a wish list instead of a worry list, it would be that I'm sleepy. If you're listening, circadian rhythm, like in about 45 minutes, can we get tired then? And then we'll be sound asleep at 10:30? Is it a deal? Maybe. Okay, thanks. I'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. All right, buddy. It's Drew from Sleep With Me podcast again. Hello. Good evening, everyone. It is about 7:30 p.m., and I haven't had any caffeine after 2 p.m. I think the last thing I had, once again, was one of those, it was a beverage with caffeine around 1 p.m. I'm going to keep my lights dim in the evening. I'm going to do my best. I already did my online learning, trying to learn Spanish online on my phone. I already did that. So I don't want to use, so that way I'm not trying to do that at 9 p.m. tonight. By the way, update. Thanks, limbic brain or whoever it was. I slept really good last night. Thanks for asking. And I think it was the wind down. I really did. I'm not being facetious either. Not only that, I woke up before my alarm at 6:10 a.m. I was supposed to get up at 6:30. And I guess I didn't double check the rules here. I did say I'm just going to lay here and close my eyes. I wasn't expecting to fall back asleep, but I did. And I got that sweet extra 20 minutes. I've been outside today, so I got some sun. I didn't talk about this last night, but I do open my blinds as soon as I wake up. I have curtains and blinds to keep my room super dark. I guess that's kind of like a sleep hygiene humble brag there. Sorry about that. What else? I guess I got to get to, I'm just procrastinating about my worry log. So still worried about getting my apartment clean. I did pick up for 10 minutes today, but like I said, it's 7 something. I still have to record one more thing for the podcast I make to put people to sleep. But I do find, I will find it unwinding. Then I was going to take a warm shower. and get my windows open. It's a cool night here, so I have that. So worry journal, no more procrastinating. I am worried that I'm going to get my apartment clean for when my parents are here. I'm also worried about tomorrow night. I'm taking my daughter to a concert for her birthday. And I'm worried about Thursday morning because I say, oh boy, is that going to mess up my sleep and her sleep. And then also I just like before I started recording this, I had pitched, maybe people relate to this. I don't know. It's worrying me. I pitched a podcast idea to just like a small nonprofit group I work with. And the pitch did not go well. I had to pitch from Zoom into a room full of people. And I got really nervous. So I should have probably done a worry before that I was worrying before. And a large group of, even though you're listening to a podcast, I think the majority of the people in the room, they didn't, like I said, like then I tried to I didn't know what a podcast was. Then I tried to reframe it as audio that you could listen to online. And I even used the words central repository of information. And it was like crickets on the other end. So that didn't go. So I guess that's worrying. But here's the thing. I can balance it back out right now because I tried. I gave it a shot. So I'm worried, but I don't need to, it's just how I'm feeling. Any other worries? Thanks for asking. There's probably other ones down there somewhere in the primordial ooze within me. But those are my top three for now. And, so I'm going to try to get this recording done, and then I'm going to start my wind down routine and get ready for rest. Thanks. Okay, it's Drew from Sleep With Me. It's like 11:41, which is 2 hours after I would normally be starting my wind down routine. And so, my worry list, still worried about getting my apartment clean. Also worried because, to driving to school schedule, it may have changed. That was when I was going to clean. I have a Zoom that I have to lead tomorrow or help out behind the scenes, like the leader who help out behind the scenes. And last week I did it, and it was a total, it didn't go well. I could not figure out how to unmute myself, post something in the chat, and display flyers that were JPEGs and PDFs at the same time, and basically shut down. And I think it was like a 400-person Zoom. So I have that tomorrow. I think I figured out all those wrinkles. So those are my worries. Really had fun. Took my daughter's birthday, went to a concert. And it was fun watching her and rocking out to the concert. I don't know if that's what they say anymore, but what did they say? Slaps. The concert really slapped. But it did. It was fun. And so I'm going to try to wind, and then I'm hoping I can wind down. But, I've been so busy, at the concert. I also had 2 sugar cookies on the drive home. I don't know. I didn't see that on the list. Well, last night I slept very well. Thank you. And the wind down routine went well. I woke up again about 6:10, dozed back off until 6:30 when my alarm did wake me up. Opened my window, got some air, got some sun. Had some intense dreams. I normally keep a journal by my bed, but I couldn't find it. And, we'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody. Okay, it's Drew from Sleep With Me. It's later than I had planned. It's 9:45, and it's a little later than my normal I'm late on the worries. Let's see, what am I worried about? Did make some progress in doing some cleaning. I would say it's realistic that I will get it done by Saturday morning or during Saturday morning. between tomorrow and so that's that's less of a worry. I am coming to do the interview for this, what I'm practicing talking about right now, which brings up a fresh set of worries. What time should I leave for the interview? Because I'm going there from where I live, which is, so I say, should I leave at 30 minutes early? What's parking going to be like? Will it be fine? My brain says no. How will then after I figure that out, then I'll start worrying about the interview itself. Will I be, can I be present? Will I be nervous? Hopefully I'll be of service to the wonderful audience. I got family stuff this weekend, but I'm not too worried about it. Try to keep my worries, I don't know. So that's my worry list. Again, normally, almost every night I'm worried if I'm going to fall asleep, to be honest. I think that's probably relatable. I finished Severance, which a book I was reading by Ling Ma last night. It was excellent. It was actually better. The book was better than excellent, to be honest. That was satisfactory. Update on last night, of course. So I did not get a full night's sleep, but I went to bed later than normal because I did do somewhat of a wind down routine. So I meditated with my daughter for we did a 3-minute meditation, and then I read my book, and I realized I couldn't. I said, am I going to finish this? Is this chapter going to be the end of the novel, or is it going to be the end of just the end of the chapter? And I said, let's go for it. And then I kind of felt like, I said, okay, this is feeling like it's coming to a conclusion here. And it was so wonderful. So I'm going to have to start a new book tonight. Wish me luck. But that's about it for now. Or I guess that's it. I mean, I'm going to carry this on. I have tried to limit my LED, exposure. I will try not to use my phone now because it's 9:45. It'd be great if I was asleep by 10:30 or 11. You hear that? But you hear that circadian brain, limbic brain? How about that? Could we be asleep in the next 45 minutes? Well, let's be, you're right. Can adultery be a realistic? Let's see where we're at. How about that? We'll all get together in 45 minutes and we'll see. And we'll just do our best. But I've really enjoyed these new practices. And I don't know if anybody's from Sleep With Me, the listeners of Sleep With Me show are listening to this audio too, because maybe I'll do an unedited version because I have room for these rambles on Sleep With Me where a normal podcast probably got to trim it down. But yeah, I've enjoyed the practices. I'm looking forward to sharing them with my listeners, and I appreciate the effort, and I'm looking forward to the conversation tomorrow. Thanks, and good night, everybody. All right, hey, everybody, this is Scoots. Apparently, I recorded an intro where I discovered that there may or may not be a scientist living in some sort of submersible under my bed, or in my bed, within my bedding. And it turns out, believe it or not, if that's true, it's not exactly easy for me to get an interview for that person. Like, as I said, I'll just interview him and we'll do an episode of Sleep With Me about it. No, not so simple, apparently. So they said, send me some requests. So, of course, I procrastinated on that and thought about it. And I said, well, what should I call you to start out? And they said, Laurie. And I said, Lori? And they said, no, Laurie. And I said, Laurie, the scientist that lives in my bedding. And that created then I had to apologize. I said, sorry, I guess I misspoke. Maybe we should do this like an interview because that was my idea. But then I was going to ask you about the interview and then I misspoke. I should have said, Laurie. I would like to interview you to find out, where do you live in my bedding? Apparently you don't and we said, okay, well, why don't you just, put my questions out there. And so I said, okay, well, I was under the impression, I know that's not the best way to start a question. I haven't interviewed anybody on the show that's not a regular that I remember. A couple caveats. How do you feel, Laurie? Could I call you L? Oh, okay. Oh, yes. I say yes. You may. Oh, wow. Okay, we're here with L. And L is a guest, is a guest with some mystery, and we're here to clear up some of those mysteries. So I'm here with L. That's me and Scoots, and this is our first interview. Did I ask you how you felt about caveats? Scooter, you did not, and thank you for having me on, and for your multiple apologies. You know, you can't apologize too much, so it's just better if you specifically apologize for things. And yes, you may call me Al. How do I feel about caveats? It depends on how they're used. So go ahead. Okay, I guess I forgot what I was going to make a caveat about. So I have no idea what I was. After you answer my question, you deflate in a good way. I believe you enabled me to move on from my caveat. Oh, I was going to say, actually, I know what I was going to say. It was kind of like apology to the listeners and to the parts of my brain that get exasperated with me a lot, L, is that I have a very fond memory of an interview with a username generator named Jenny. And, like, you're L with just an L, though. Right, Scooter, because my name, that L or Lowry, you got that from a 33 record that was released 2/4/63, record number 3158 from Eldon Music. Kenny Chandler, Glenn Stewart, Heart by Well and Man. You're right, L. That is where your name is derived from that record that is in my hand. This is a way I used to randomize stuff on the podcast, and so wow, so this is becoming an interactive thing. It's been interactive all along, Scooter. Okay, well, my caveat was I don't remember anybody I've interviewed that's not been on the show and become a regular other than Jenny, the new username generator, that I remember, but I don't remember a lot. I don't remember a lot well. But I'm glad you were here to wait for me, which is, and also to point out that, usually sometimes I randomize a podcast by Power of Carole King. Sometimes lately it's been children pictures and books that come along with read-along records. And now it is, or magic tricks. We didn't use that. We just actually use that for factual recaps. But yeah, these records, I bought a random lot of 45s, I guess these are, not 33s, it turns out. Neither one of us know very much about records. But I wanted you to talk about, and I know it's a lot of, you don't have to kind of talk about your purpose, or let's just talk in a general way about what it's like to be a scientist. I would presume you're an imaginary scientist, but the science isn't imaginary. Just I almost said your existence is imaginary, but we're here talking, so it's not. Right, Scooter? In some sense, I'm dependent on you. Wow. So I wonder if could you think, here's the thing. I would love to depend on you. Actually, I'm looking for I'm really struggling now, in a general way. So I could always use somebody to depend on. Well, Scooter, let's talk about it. But what was your question? Well, I'm just wondering in a general way, what observations do you make about betting? And I guess because of my limited knowledge of science and the scientific method, we should probably avoid as much scientific talk as we can. Well, Scooter, it reminds me of the song by Edie Hodges or Eddie Hodges, Ain't Gonna Wash for a Week. And I don't know what year that was. I do know it came out on Cadence Records, East West. It was record number 1397. Peter Udell, Gary Gold, orchestra conducted by Archie Blyer. And I don't know how the tune goes, but I know that it's a pretty common observation I've made that most bedding's not washed weekly, and that I'm not here to judge or actually take any scientific observations about it. But just to point out the fact that that just happens to be something I observe. Wow, so that's good because it's good to talk about bedding because I know a thing or two about bedding, and I feel like I don't know if this is well, this is interesting. The next record that came up, but yeah, let's talk about it because I think here's my observations about my own bedding and the wash cycles and the ability to change it out. Go ahead, Scooter, lay it on me. This is, I feel like we're breaking into new worlds of bedtime storytelling here. Yeah, I mean, I was really hoping, I guess because it's my bed, I was just hoping I was picturing you in a submarine, a submersible. Do you have a submersible? Of course I do, Scooter. And do you have like one of those rove bots? Of course I do. Do you have some sort of giant suit of course, Scooter, because if when you're tossing and turning, it's soft on the outside. Also, I'm you don't detect me, but yeah, we do have, those are all things we use in our research. Yeah, I wish I had more going on in my bed for you to observe, but I'm sure if you're observing my dreams, then you probably have, I don't know do you use notebooks or shorthand or typing or recordings? Do you use equipment? Yes, we do all those things. Okay. So, I was not making a question. I was making a statement, and then it led me to questions. This is really, are you enjoying yourself so far, Al? Scooter, I am, and I'm just trying to participate without letting you down or falling in. I think together we could probably, you already had a lot of jokes at your own expense. So I think it's okay. We could just move on from those too. And please give me your insights into bedding. And you were talking about changing or washing your bedding. Yeah, so I have a couple, I have an ideal, which would be, I think, on the 15th and the 30th, or in February, whatever, I don't know, 14th and the 28th. Those would be, in an ideal world, when you would change out your bedding, if you were just doing it on a regular rotation. I don't stick to that for a few reasons, I'll tell you, Al. But if in a perfect world, if there was extenuating circumstances like I was sneezing or got sweaty or whatever, maybe I would change that schedule. And I don't follow that schedule. Okay, Scooter, tell me why. And give me some actual insight, too, into why, behind the whys. Why, it's human nature, I'll tell you. That is just a song reference, Al. Well, those are good questions for me. And so, yeah, in a perfect world, I'd change my bedding every 2 weeks or more or less. And that's where you fall into, if you just pick the 15th and 30th, that's not going to be every 2 weeks. It's actually every 15 days, meaning the days will change. And I don't know if a school night is the best time to change your bedding unless you're super relaxed or something. And you are in such a place where you're so transcendent that you, you're in a bit, I don't know, maybe you're somebody that's, really well adjusted or really in a good place, or you have a lot of spare time. Then you could change your bedding whenever you want. I would say do it before the sun sets, or 2 hours before you want to go to sleep. My expert opinion, 2 hours before you want to go to sleep is a great time. Maybe an hour and a half, depending on your bedtime routine. Particularly depending on if you live in a place with only one bathroom and you share it with your daughter. Great time to change your bedding, if it's going to be on a school work night, is when they're using the restroom and you've either already prepared for bed or you're mostly ready for bed and you're calm. And then you say, okay, go ahead, you use the restroom, then I'll come and use it after. Or I'm already done, you get ready for bed. and I'm not going to worry about like schedule, you go do your, you get ready, but I'm going to change, then you go and change your bedding. Okay. Can you tell me why you feel like this 2-week schedule is ideal? Well, actually, it's interesting. Thanks, Al. Are you actually you doing research with me and on me while we talk? This is just two people talking betting, Scooter. It's, but yeah, but when you talk, of course, you're gathering information. Okay, well, if you have any advice or anything, feel free. But there is some things I got to get into. But I feel like the main changing your bedding is that it's a physical and a mind body and self-esteem based, like a reason to change it every 2 weeks, maybe, if not every 30 days is what I would do next. Because I feel like when I change the bedding, one, I feel good about myself, though I don't change my duvets maybe every 60 days or something. I don't even know. I don't change those on a schedule. And that brings up a lot of other issues you're probably aware of. So wow, we're really getting into my bedding deep here. Scooter, that's why I have the submersibles. You just didn't realize this would be me talking about my bedding, but this is this is applicable to the sleep podcast. I just never thought this is where I would. Have we done a show like this? Do you know, Al? Scooter, I've actually not been tuning into the podcast. I've been doing my job. Okay. So it feels good to change your bedding. You say, oh boy, got that done. Then physically, I feel like it feels really good. One, to get into a bed with clean, fresh sheets and a freshly made bed, particularly with my bedding situation, which we'll go to later. And I just feel like there's something about it, so you have the self-esteem boost, then you have, depending on what kind of sheets and stuff you like, the smoothness or the crispness or the freshness or the deep, whatever you want to call it, like clumping or whatever goes on in my bed. Like it's taut, just like they say in Ronkonkoma at a school, but not meaning the same thing. They mean taught. I taught you how to do something. This is taut, like the fitted sheets pulled tight. Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you really like you feel good about getting something accomplished, and then you feel good about getting something accomplished that's going to make you feel good. Did you say there's another thing? Yeah, I feel like I just sleep good because of those two things. I say, oh boy, I can really feel good tonight. I changed out my bedding. Yeah, it's you're like, thanks for rephrasing that for me or reiterating that. The other so there's one other issue though. So I do take baths, not like for that's like kind of like a occasional hobby for me. I've reduced my baths because of I live in California, but normally. I think the ideal time to change your sheets is Sunday. That's just for me because that has always been historically, though now it's probably Monday or Tuesday. But Sunday has always been the night where the deep dark night seems the deepest to me in the past. Yeah, I could get that. I can get that, Scooter. But tell me more about your baths and how they relate to your bedding. So normally. I take a long run on Sunday, right? Or jog or whatever you want to call it. And then I shower, after to cleanse myself. But that's during the day or the morning. And then what happens is, I go about my day. And then that night, in order to kind of help my body recover, and as a hobby, as we're talking about, I'll fill a tub up. I'll get I definitely buy bubble bath and then Epsom salts. And I feel like that, whatever the process is, that helps me unwind. And I used to use some sort of like oil in there so my skin wouldn't dry out, but I'm not as consistent about that, right? But I think that, even with the bubble bath, I think between the Epsom salts and the fact that I don't shower first, which may not be something everybody takes delight in. And I just feel like the use of water, even though it's probably just me, or that it's just too much work. Like, and I'll have a treat in there. I'll have some sparkling waters or some soda. And, I'll really make a thing of it. Usually I'll watch a basketball game, do some Duolingo, safely, in a way that I can do that in the tub safely, kids. And I really find it's not so much, it's a ritual, but it's also related to not just relaxing, but like recovery, because I just ran during the day really far. My legs are usually pretty tired. I mean, really far from me, because I know there's like marathon, ultra marathoners and stuff like that. So the caveat is I usually do that on Sundays, and because I'm somewhat clean, right? I took a shower at 10 a.m. Now it's 7 p.m. Though with my schedule being a bit different over the last year, it could be at any time on Sunday between 2 and 10 p.m. And no, latest I would take a bath. I wouldn't get in the bath after 8, to be honest. Okay, Scooter, tell me more. So I wouldn't say I would say that there's, that if I don't take a shower after either, I know you're aware of all this, Elle, because you've been observing me by scientific method. So I wouldn't say there's a funk, because there's not, but I would say that I'm not ultra clean. And so, it's probably not the best time. If I'm going to get into a clean bed, I really want to I don't have to be straight out of the bathroom shower. But usually, personally, I shower in the evening or the afternoon after I work out. So it's I'm not saying any of this to impress you, Elle, but then I'm wondering okay, now you're giggling. So I'll assume that's a positive giggling. But so it's not like I stink, though my body odor will be, stronger the next day because I haven't, until I take another shower. This is getting way too personal, but I guess it's just factual. So I don't want to change my sheets that day, because then it just feels like a waste of clean sheets, because I'm slightly soiled, I guess I would say, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That was a really meandering way of telling it, but it was somewhat to the point for you. Yeah, so then, I prefer to change them, I guess, as I said, on a thing. Now, I'd like to do it on a somewhat regular basis, but not, I don't stick to it. I think I just changed mine. I think we're around the 7-day mark for my current bedding, maybe even less. And I'm going to knock on your door a little bit more if you catch my drift, Elle. Is this a Cadence Records, Eddie Hodges type of knocking on my door? It is, because I'm real, like Jim Valley. Oh, Jim Valley, Burdette Music, Jordan, Jerry Denon, Valley, Gallucci, A14. Yeah, I'm real like that. I'm real, I'll be real stinky the next day. I really won't be that. But, we're just talking about being human beings, right, Elle? Yes, Scooter, I'm talking about observing human beings, because I'm a tiny scientist that does imaginary science stuff from a deep-sea submersible within your bedding. Right. So you probably know some other stuff about my bedding. You know some of the other challenges I face. So should we talk about those? Scooter, I could tell you that there is love in my heart, like James or Jim Valley, to find out more about this. Cool. So yeah, right now when we're recording this and talking, it's March. And I'm lucky enough to live in the Bay Area, which is right now I'd say it's very prime sleeping weather. Maybe a little bit cold for some people, but so for my system, and I've been using this system for quite a while now, but because I think I made it through all 4 seasons, maybe once, maybe twice with this system, maybe only once and a half. Scooter, why don't you describe to me your system, and then we'll talk about the the inherent challenges in it for you. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thanks. Thanks, Al. So my system, so I have you want me to go through it all? Why don't you, Scooter? Okay, so I have my bed, then I have my fitted sheet, and then I have, 4 pillows, 2 pillows that I use, two pairs of pillows, we'll say, right? You're nodding your head, L. Yeah, you're doing good. This is all stuff you've observed, right? In your this is all things I've observed, Scooter. And so I have 2 pillows that are kind of flat that like I would put my head on one and maybe hold one in my arms like a stuffed animal or, something I'm clutching at, or sometimes I'll lay on it. And sometimes sometimes I don't want my head on the pillow. So then I'll have I don't know what's happening when I'm, in the other realms, drifting away. Then the other 2 pillows, like I'll madly grab at them. Sometimes I put one over my head. Sometimes I'll hold on to one of those, but then I'll realize that it's too thick. So those other 2 pillows are, I would say they probably have a challenging life as far as pillows, but then they have longer lifespan because they're a little bit puffier and firmer, and they're good for helping me sit up when I read. And then they're good at if I need 2 pillows on top of my head for some reason, and it's not based on light because, my room is very, very dark. Well, this is something else we could talk about in the future, Scooter. Yeah, thanks. But so, yeah, I have my 2 pillows, my sleep pillows, and then my other pillows. None of them are fancy, and their relationship with pillow cover, or whatever, let's call it pillowcases, they're called, tends to be mixed, right? Like that the pillowcases are on or the pillowcases are off. And so, I guess, what was my saying? You got distracted there. Yeah, so I guess I was thinking about, I don't know, my pillow, I could just picture the pillowcases half on or half off. Okay, so when you make your bed, let's do it that way and talk about it. So you'd have your pillows, and then you would have your fitted sheet, or you'd have your fitted sheet, and then you put your pillows and your pillowcases on, right? Right, and if they're matching, I would match the pillow style to the pillowcases because I have one set of bedding, I have all 4 pillowcases the same. And then another set of bedding, my regular bedding, but I have, that's in my regular rotation. Then the other set is like 2 pillowcases that match the sheets and then 2 solid colors that also match the sheets. So you would set those up in pairs, contrasting pairs. Yeah, I'm not consistent about that. And then I find when I get in bed, I'm looking for my pillows. Like last night, I was like, I had 3 pillows, but I couldn't find the 4th one, which I needed, which was like my squish, my pillow I was going to clutch. Your comfort pillow? I wouldn't call it a comfort. I'd say it's a pillow that brings me comfort, but I wouldn't refer to it because it has many other uses beyond being a comfort pillow. Okay, that's very good to know. So yeah, like I would have those, okay, so yeah, I would stack the pillows, but I don't know, I'm never consistent. Like I don't have a method, whether it's like my, I guess I would put the fuller pillow, sometimes I put it on top, sometimes I put the softer pillow on the bottom, the flatter pillow, and sometimes I do it the other way, and sometimes I don't even pay attention. But you would ideally put those together, so it'd be like opposite pillows together in pairs. Yeah, I guess like I'd couple off the pillows based on opposites attract, though I'm not conscious of that. Okay, so then you have your pillows, you have your fitted sheet. What's next? So then I do have a top sheet, and there's multiple reasons for that, but none of them I don't think are very good against an argument. I'm not here to argue top sheet or not, or that my way is better. It's just that I don't know, that I like having a top sheet. It's just something, I don't know. And when I guess my room ideally would never be so hot that I would have to go down to my top sheet. But if I did, I'd still want a top sheet. It still needs some sort of coverage most of the time, just for comfort and reassurance, I guess. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you have your top sheet, and then what would come next? Okay, now this is going to sound a bit over the top, but I'm talking, and let's just talk temperatures, because I have been doing some temperature observations over the winter. My room will normally, I won't have the heater on because, well, I'll explain even more. But so my room will be somewhere, and again, we could change this. If your science-based team, needs a warmer room, I can figure it out. I'm willing to adjust. I appreciate that, Scooter, but I'm here to observe you and not. But I like that you're open. I think you're speaking beyond me, but yeah, that you're open to change. I mean, some kind of change, like compromise. But so for me, I keep that room can get down as low as 60 degrees or below in the winter. Though the Bay Area, the winter air is cold. So I do tend to the 58 to 62 in a spring or autumn air. And I'm not a weather scientist. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm no Wayne Mahar. I'm not one of whoever I watch now. I apologize. But I'm blanking out. But so, yeah, I'm not a weather scientist, but I will say that the air, the 58 to 62 degree air or 64 degree air between late November and late February does tend to have a sharpness to it that I will not have my window open all the way. And it may even close my window because I guess it has such a sharpness that it could keep the room at a 60 to 62 degree or 64 degree thing. And the only reason I point that out is because I noticed over the past couple weeks where it's the air is a little bit less, it's March now, that the air's a little bit less crisp, but even though the temperature's a lot of times I'm getting up and I'm checking the thermostat and we're below 60 in my place. And I say, holy cow, and I'm still warm, I'm hot-blooded, check it and see, but that it doesn't have quite as, it feels different. It doesn't feel as cold. Okay, so let's focus on this because we got off. So your ideal room temperature is based on feel, but what else can you tell me about the room temperature? Because maybe this will help people. And this is kind of bedroom hygiene, sleep hygiene a little bit. Well, okay, I do want to point out that this is a process, right? It's not a goal. Your process is to find a temperature that you feel comfortable sleeping in. And I mean, that's what's tough about being at home and then going somewhere. So I don't want to get into anything on the road because that's different. It's a different ball game, right? But what I like to do is just have the heater off. Oh, and I can talk about my family preferences. And I have my window open, and then I could, then we'll get into other sleep hygiene, I guess, outside of my bedding, if you're interested in that, as far as the layers between the open window and the screen or whatever. But, lately I've had my window open almost all the way, and I don't get cold. But if I did get cold, and sometimes I've even gotten warm, or a little bit, I say, I'm a little warm here, hot under the collar. Okay. So, that's very interesting. So you like your room. Can you give me a degree? And again, we're just talking about an idealized number. I mean, I would say in the Bay Area, if you were to pin me down, I'd say 62 degrees, which is definitely not everybody's. And again, so my daughter lives with me half-time, right? And I have something that heats her bed individually, which also is more efficient for the home because it's like a bed heater or whatever. It's not an electric blanket. It blows warm air throughout her bed. through a sheet. In that you could really get at a temperature that she's comfortable at. And, and so she never has to be cold. And she also likes a lot of blankets. And that actually in the winter will even keep her room warm. So it's a much different temperature than my room. So your daughter likes to sleep very warm, you're saying? Yeah, I think that's a pretty common thing. Like, some people like to sleep warm, some people like to sleep cold, some people like to sleep in between. Okay, so tell me more about how do you, even though the room is cold, you're not cold, and you said you tend to be warm-blooded and you get hot. But tell me more about what bedding you use, because obviously there's something keeping you warm. Because when you go to bed, I'm under the impression that sometimes you're cold when you get in bed. Oh boy, am I ice cold sometimes. You're right. What I'll do, it depends on what I'm wearing too, because I tend to be a person with I'm not a person that walks around the house without any clothes. You've observed me, so it's not news to you. And regular listeners of the podcast will know, I you like to wear, in the summer, shorts. And if I'm working from home, that would be my, not boxers, but a pair of shorts, so that then when I have to take the dog out, I only have to put on a shirt. But my base comfort state, if it's warm enough, is just shirtless in shorts. And when that's not accomplishable, I'll add layers. Or if I got to go on a Zoom, obviously I'm going to wear a shirt. If it's a Zoom for something, I'm going to wear a nicer shirt. And in the winter, I might wear, sleep pants, or, if I'm going somewhere, jeans or pants. But at bedtime, when I'm in shorts, or sometimes I'll have to have a shirt on because my room's so cold. And then I'll meditate with my dog if she's there. And my daughter's not there. Otherwise, I'll meditate with my daughter. But I'll lay with have I talked about this on the podcast before? Do you know, Elle? Scooter, I don't know, but I know what happens. So I don't know if your audience is quite, I'll lay my head. Yeah, maybe the audience doesn't know about this. So I'll meditate every night. I guess we're getting in, I guess this is what scientists do. They observe bedtime hygiene. So I'll lie. If it's just Co and I, first, we could go through that process. I invite Co wants to go to bed normally before I do. So she'll start letting me know by nonverbal communication that she's ready to go to bed, which includes going down the stairs, coming back up, or hovering around the stairs, and, or mistaking cues. But so when it is time for us to go to bed, we'll go down there, and the normal, the routine can change, but normally she'll do a little bit of milling around, and then I'll say, why don't you lie down? And then she'll do another lap in the room, and then she'll lie down, and then I'll put some blankets on her because, again, the room is going to be cold, and she also just likes, not only is it warmth, because sometimes she takes the blankets off, but she has her own little nest there, and I know she finds it comforting because she'll look at me and say, blanket me up, yo. So you drape your dog in blankets, in the wintertime, blankets, in the spring or summer. Yeah, it might be blanket, depends on the temperature. But right now it's still blanket season, when you're getting below 64, I would say. Okay. And then what happens? So then right now, currently what I do is, so she has her bed, and I'll put my head on her bed. She's a bit like me. She's an independent dog. She likes being petted, and she likes having you close, and she likes curling up next to my dog. So she doesn't sleep in my bed, obviously. She sleeps in her bed. She likes being in the same room as me. She doesn't want to sleep in another room. But so I'll meditate. So we'll spend some time together. I'll put my head on her bed. Sometimes she'll want to be close to me. Other times she'll just say, okay, I want you in my presence. And I'll meditate. And usually, yes, I do it lying. So my head I'll be on my back. My head will be on her bed or on her hip or side. If she's hey, let's have some dog to human contact. again, I'm wondering, I'm really, I guess I'm putting it all out there. But so then I'll have my feet on my bed. Like, so I'm on my back. So it's almost like I'm sitting in a chair, but I'm not because my feet are on my legs are up on the bed. My knees are bent. I don't know why I do that. I just heard like, oh, having your feet up's good for you or something. And then I'll lie there and I'll meditate. Sometimes I'll pet Koa, but other times she just wants to like sit there, lie there with me. And then I'll meditate. And I don't know what it had to do with because I thought we were talking about my layers of bedding. Oh, but it can be cold because she's all wrapped up in her blanket. So then sometimes, yeah, we'll have to put a shirt on or add a shirt. Like if I'm just wearing like a tank top or something, sometimes I got to put another shirt on because it's so cold in my room already. Okay, tell me about why it's so cold in your room. Well, it kind of depends on the podcast recording schedule. Great question, by the way, Elle. But yeah, if I'm getting ready for bed and I go downstairs for some reason to change my clothes or to do something, I'll open up my windows, ideally at about, I don't know, if my target time to start reading is 9:45 p.m., which it is, which means my bedtime routine had started at like 9:15. This is a school night, or 9 p.m., like I'd be meditating by like 9:15 to 9:30 or something. I open my windows at 8 p.m. or they were open all day, but they definitely wouldn't be open because if I'm recording the podcast, the windows have to be closed because there's so much noise outside. Okay, so you open up your windows and you start cooling your room. Your room gets cold. It's cold enough that you could be chilly. And then you get into your bed. You have your top sheets, and then what's next? What's next is a weighted comforter and a duvet, and then another comforter, a regular comforter for the winter, in a duvet. And then if it's really cold, I have another blanket that's optional at the foot of my bed or falling off my bed. Or I guess after the winter, I probably put it away. I don't remember. Okay, really interesting stuff. So you have a weighted comforter, not a weighted blanket. Yeah, I discovered weighted, people have been pitching me on weighted blankets and stuff like that. And a company sent me one and it was too small. And I said, I tried it and I found some things appealing about it. But for me, like I do a lot of thrashing, tossing, turning, moving around. And I couldn't keep something that's like the size of a twin bed on me. I sleep in a queen bed, by the way. And I kind of I don't range super wide. Well, I do. I range around there and I'll move around. So having a weighted comforter, which is larger than 60 by 80, it's the same size as a queen size comforter or queen king. It's very big. And it is I can't recommend it enough because even in the spring or the summer, it brings some weight and coverage, but also less warmth than a traditional comforter. And then having a traditional comforter on top really keeps me warm and adds another layer of weight. And I really do find it comforting. Like I feel like one of the, what was it called? Like Brand's Family, like a Stark. I do. Like, I'm not even kidding. I feel like that's what I say in my bed. Though I never remember their name at the times. And then they didn't have that much luck. They weren't doing a lot of sleep. Well, I'm saying, but, so I do say I feel like a Stark. Okay. Like you're covered in layers and layers of heavy things. Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice. Now, the problem is, as you've observed, is the thrashing and the moving and the adjusting and all those things, that can really discombobulate is actually the accurate. My bedding is discombobulated by the time I get up. And it can really, even during the night, it can cause, usually we'll talk about the reset I do, which I guess technically we call making the bed. But so, yeah, if I'm doing a lot of thrashing around, my bedding and my sheet and my comforters can get, the nice thing about the duvet is it gives it some extra oomph and it makes it actually easier to redistribute them and keep them clean. but it also like creates even more ways to discombobulate stuff. Okay, so tell me about the discombobulation. Do you make your bed? Okay, well, I don't. So this is interesting because I'm a person, recovering from I practice staying sober, and it's just like this traditional thing with like staying sober is like part of your morning routine is to make your bed, and I have not been able to follow that or practice that principle. Now arrange my bed in a way that's like, I guess they say fake it till you make it. Like I fake make my bed, which is not, but there's a couple reasons behind that. Okay, tell me about those. Well, one is that I use this thing to like now it's one part of it's broken and they don't work with the show anymore, so that's fine. But like to keep my bed even cooler so that it's like cooling the bottom, even while I'm covered in these sheets, I have this thing that's cooling the bed underneath me. So you have a piece of technology that does the opposite of what your daughter's bed heater does, but it uses some water instead of cool air. Yeah, it uses water to keep my bed at about 50, like it says 58 degrees. I'd say it's probably not that low. And it used to be on both sides of the bed, and now only one side works. But it's not like it also can lead, it can have condensation. So that's another reason if there's any condensation, I push all my bedding to the side when I wake up. Cause it is like I had a little, like I sweated or something, but it's condensation cause it's cold. And so then I want that to air dry or, I don't want to put bedding on it. Obviously, Scooter, thank you. That makes my job so much easier. Yeah, so then that won't be, but that doesn't actually, I've adjusted the temperatures. I think I've got the temperature and when it shuts off, so it does less of that. I have it shut off at a certain time. But then when it gets warmer, obviously that'll change. But, but the main reason I'll make the bed is because it's so discombobulated. That between the possibility of there being some sort of liquid condensation and then the effort that would go, like I feel like it would distract from my morning routine. And they say you got, making your bed is part of your morning routine. But I do have, like lately I've been doing, so I read some stuff about, hey, what are some things like spiritual type readings aligned with practicing my sobriety. And then I will do some journaling in either a dream or stuff that's going on or morning pages. Lately, I've been doing 2 pages, not 3. And you can see that Scoot starts as soon as he wakes up thinking about past, present, and future. And then I will do some meditating and some quiet reflection and talk to my higher power and check in. I could do that out of my bed on the ground. And then I'll go about, then I do other morning routine stuff, yoga, at work, exercise. So you do that every day. Yeah, pretty much. Not even pretty much. Yeah, every day. I need it every day because I wake up every day as myself. Okay, but you don't make your bed because of the condensation and the level of discombobulation. Yeah, so it takes a lot, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but I was just kind of trying to is that okay? That's fine. Because we do have to get to one more thing before okay, so yeah, like what I'll do is make my bed before Nicole and I meditate, or again, during that period when I would change my sheets, like we said at the beginning, if my daughter's there and she's using the bathroom, that's when I'll make my bed for bedtime because I have to take everything off my bed because it's so discombobulated. The sheet will be wrapped up like something somebody's using to like get a hold of Rapunzel or something. It'll be my top sheet will be knotted like I have some sort of escape plan. And then my weighted comforter will be either like redistributed inside the, what do you call that thing? The duvet, or it's all made of beads and they're they're spread in sections, but somehow I can still, I can break time space of weighted comforters. So I have to redistribute that. And then the same thing goes for my other comforter. It'll be all bunched up or again, look like it was sent through like some sort of masher. And that's most nights. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, no, like we said, nothing much, but whatever's going on in my brain, there's a lot of activity going on, a lot of movement. Okay, so you remake your bed, but at bedtime. So as part of your bedtime routine, yeah, I mean, unless I'm really tired or I like skipped part of my bedtime routine or left it, and then that's setting myself up for failure. You're right. I'm glad you pointed that out because then I'll get in bed. That's where making the bed in the morning actually is a good idea. Again, it's just that condensation thing for me and that I have a morning routine that's working because my bedtime routine is very similar. Foam rolling before or after the meditation, to take some time to talk to my higher power. I'll do journaling or gratitude type stuff. And then I'll get in bed and read fiction. And, yeah, sometimes I'll just cut, like if I'm rushed, I'll, cut some of those out. And then if I get into my bed and it hasn't been if it's still discombobulated, obviously it's going to impact me. Okay, so before we do need to wrap up, Scooter, and I, appreciate you bringing me on the show. Wow, this has been the quickest hour of my life. Well, Scooter, I want you to talk about the light in your room because I know it's very important to you, and I think it's something that isn't as appreciated as it could be. Yeah, so I have 2 sets of windows in my room, and even before the current circumstances that I live in or where I lived before, I can't tell you how big a difference it is. So I have blinds that came with the apartment that are built in, right? And they're pretty good quality blinds. And I think there was curtain rods up, but I have curtain rods, I think they're by Umbro or something, that curve around. And then I do have blackout curtains, and they curve around. And now they don't hold all the light. I actually put something on top of the curtain so that no light comes in, like going up towards the ceiling. And then I use gaffer tape on every LED I can find in my room. And then I have most of the lights set on a timer so that they all go off at my bedtime or when I'm trying to fall asleep. And I mean, if my door was closed, my room would be like, even when I guess when I wake up, I'm not seeing clearly anyway. And I have like I got a little nightlight, like a motion sensitive one, because otherwise I was banging my shins too much. But yeah, I like my room very dark. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on the way you look at it, I live across the street from from some industrial activity. And for some reason, they've invested in more and more. I'm surprised, it's very disruptive. Like if I didn't have those lights, the light pollution, like my room would be very much like daylight, almost. There's so much light, like not that far outside of where I live. And then there's also noise and stuff like that. So yeah, having those curtains and then covering the LEDs whenever possible. Like I know that having a dark room positively impacts sleep from what I've read, but also from personal experience, but then also the personal experience of opening my curtains and my blinds as soon as I wake up of the window that's right next to my bed, which I guess is another key thing for me, is being able to sleep by a window. I also have a fan going, and then I have the thing that cools my bed has a fan that makes noise, and then I also have a mechanical fan noise maker, or a second, another fan running, and I have my air doctor running. So you have a lot of white noise, and then you have your window open, and then you can open it and let the sunlight in as soon as you are ready to get up. Yeah, that's another thing that's just very important, is to be exposed to sunlight, from what I understand, but also just part of my routine now. As soon as I wake up, And then I do have to close my windows sometime because I have an industrial thing. And every once in a while, they're cooking up something that, is definitely, so I have to close my window, and then I kick the air doctor into high gear. So sometimes you have some pollution, and always, you do also live by a freeway. So but having a dark room is also important for you, but also having maybe some sort of inexpensive light. You got yours from Wise, and that you can light the room when you get out of bed. You couldn't find it last night, though. Yeah, I had to blindly go through the room, even though I don't think it was that dark, because there's a couple changes that have gone on. So I still haven't got my room as dark as I want it, where I'm totally lost. So yeah, we've learned a lot from you, Scooter. I appreciate it. This is a very good episode about bedtime hygiene and bedding. And those are actually all the observations I made. So I'm very happy for you and your audience. And I hope you find a way to make your bed comfortable wherever you are, and make your bedtime routine comfortable. And maybe I'm the scientist. You could be the scientist observing yourself, setting yourself up for bedtime. Now, success is not a perfection, right, Scooter? Right. It's a process based. I think I said that, right? It's a process of saying, hey, is there any changes I can make? Just like during the day, I need to be more process based about, is there any changes I can make to improve my life right now? And make the most of my life right now, or my bedtime right now, without doing anything that has to be grand or life-changing or life-altering. Just small changes of what have always worked for me, particularly just seeing where this went, asking a scientist that lives in my bedding or whatever, and going from there. And at least I felt this was more factual base, interesting, but we had some whimsy during the intro. So I'm glad you came by. Thanks, everybody, and good night. I want to thank everybody that became a patron recently. I want to thank Mike, Zoe, and Ellen. Thanks, and good night. Claire, Joshua, and Troy. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Sarah, Amelita, and Jenny. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Amy, Kadan, and Jack. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Allison, Kayla, and Mary. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Tabby, Simon, and Shane. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Brian, Adrienne, and Scott. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Chris, Alicia, and Amanda. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Brennan, Kimberly, and Joy. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Daniela, Susan, and Mary. Thank you, thanks, and good night. And Abigail, Bailey, and Jerry. Thanks, and good night. Couldn't do without all you. Sleep With Me exists a free podcast because people that support the show directly on Patreon or support our sponsors. That's how we come out free twice a week. And I'd love it if you help the podcast to support people experiencing homelessness by signing up for our free newsletter. It's the only place you can get all the videos and all the stuff and all the fun. It's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/badmagic, sleepwithmepodcast.com/badmagic. Thanks so much. Oh, and now I got a Tuck You In sponsor. That's how we've been able to add over 450 episodes in the feed. Thanks.